Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Friday, July the 7th, 7 a.m. New York time. Welcome in. Back to the stream, Venator Trading. We're taking $10,000 in funding all the way to $2 million, hopefully by the end of this year. Fingers crossed. We're on our way already. We've got one 10K funded account. We've got a phase two challenge, 10K challenge, and we have a phase one 100K challenge. Still in drawdown. We've only taken two trades so far. Uh, took losses on both of them, and so we're just looking for our A plus setup to form, take down a winner, get back to break even, and then we'll hit it hard again next week and see if we can knock out these, at least that phase two challenge. Maybe next week, we'll see. But good morning, Adrian. Welcome in. Glad you're here, man. Looks like you're the sole survivor. But we're just got NFP today. We've got some red folder news, so we'll be chilling out, just kind of watching the charts, trying to figure out what we might be able to look at and where we could anticipate where our reversal might take place. Good morning, John. Welcome in, buddy. John, did you make a decision yet on your prop firm? Oh, and how did your keynote speech go, or whatever it was that you were doing yesterday? Hope that went well for you. Sitting here looking at the dollar chart right now. You can see that weekly fair value gap that we have been focused on for the last couple of weeks. Last week and this week, it has healthily respected that. Of course, today we still have a lot. We got a lot of meat on the bone. NFP is definitely going to give us some movement. So I feel like this weekly fair value gap is either going to get traded through and we're going to get strong bullish dollar news, or we're going to crash through these, tap into these daily fair value gaps here today. So I think one of those two things is going to happen with NFP. Just don't know which one. The ADP employment numbers came out way higher and way hotter than anyone expected. Shot the dollar up, but it could not hold up there yesterday. And it just ended up falling off. Took out the buy side liquidity up there, took out both of the highs, took out last Friday's high, and then fell back away. So now we have sell side in our targets here, much like we did yesterday. Took out this yesterday and then popped up. Does it want to dig a little bit lower into these relative equal lows or even these relative equal lows? We'll just have to wait and see. Good morning, Shafa. Hey, good job, Shafa. Just passed my 10K challenge first phase. Way to go, buddy. Good job. How did you do that? I'd love to know. Like, what were you using this strategy? Were you using your own strategy? What changed that allowed you to pass that challenge? Congratulations, man. I got a message from Corey. Hopefully he'll pop in here today, but he messaged me on Twitter. He passed his challenge as well, so it's good to see. It's good to see the followers starting to turn things around and get these challenges passed. I love it. I love it. It is completely within your reach. It is completely within your reach. Passing these challenges and getting funded is very doable. And after you've failed so many, you begin to think that you just aren't cut out for this. You begin to question everything about it. And then something happens, and something comes along and something clicks. And when it clicks and you realize, oh, now I get it. And everything can change after that. It doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're going to not break a rule again or whatever it was. But once you begin to execute your trading plan like a professional trader, once you begin to exercise patience and discipline, uh, man, this business suddenly goes from being one of the most frustrating things in the world to one of the most exciting things in the world, and at the same time, one of the most boring things in the world because it becomes so repetitive and so simple in a lot of ways. It's still very complex, but things just they start to slow down and things start to make sense. So good to see that, Shafa. Well done, Mr. Brooks. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Shafa, my own fair value gap and break of structure. Good. Yesterday before news, my setup was clear. I opened 2 positions on gold and passed in a day, but with phase 2, I'll take my time until I see my setup again. As clear as I saw yesterday. That is what it's all about, man. Shafa, that's what it's all about. Be patient. Just sit on your hands and wait. I don't know why I do know why. That's one of the hardest things for traders to do is to do nothing. The fear of missing out, the fear of not being in a trade, the pain inside of you that thinks you're missing out on profits becomes so strong and so overwhelming that you feel like you just have to get rid of that feeling, and so you take a trade. But the reality is, do the opposite. Sit on your hands and wait. Wait until you see your setup and then strike. Take your shot. You're not going to win them all. Even on your A+ setups, there's no foolproof 100% win rate setup. It's just not going to happen. So you have to have good risk management. Obviously you've got to have good risk management. But really, patience eliminates so many bad trading decisions. Just being patient. So way to go, Shafa, man. I'm proud of you. Yeah, after so many blowups, I understood the importance of waiting and just opening 1 or 2 quality ones. It really is. Gosh, I need to screenshot that. Message me in my DM, Shafa. I'd love to just talk with you and get what you're saying right there and share it with others, because you're not the only one. I've gotten a few messages recently of followers who are doing the same thing you're doing, passing their challenges now, some for the first time ever. It really is about quality over quantity. It's not how many trades you take. It's the trade that you take is the most important. The quality setup that you're waiting for. So proud of you, man. Good job. Keep it up. Just be patient on phase 2. There's no rush. Your setup will appear, and when it does, take advantage of it. So here on the dollar again, you can see we're just waiting. We've got NFP news. Got some relative equal highs sitting up here. We've already taken out yesterday's high. I'm sorry, yesterday we took out Wednesday's high and last Friday's high, and then fell back away. This weekly fair value gap is showing quite a bit of resistance currently. Every time it pops up into it or above it just slightly, we cannot get a weekly close so far. The last 2 weeks have failed to close above this weekly fair value gap right there. So the daily fair value gap, once it was traded through here, it acted as resistance, created another fair value gap inside this inverted fair value gap, pushed up, and we haven't come back down to it. Maybe today we come back down into that. So just going to kind of wait and see. We've got news at 8:30. The NFP report comes out at 8:30 this morning, so we'll sit and watch. Shafi, yeah, when I thought I understood what I learned from ICT, I started buying challenges, and I was blowing one after another. ICT was right when he said that we just think we know. We understood things already, but we really don't. Yeah, you're right, man. ICT, that's one of the dangers with ICT is the concepts seem pretty simple, and a lot of them are. But it's like you learn and he has so many concepts. Number one, a lot of people try to do all of them at once. They try to connect all the dots and how they fit together, and it's just too much, especially for new traders, to try to connect every little dot that he has. But you see him execute, you see him draw it out on a chart, and you're like, oh, well, there it is. It's so simple. I'll just go in and do that. And then you don't realize that it's a lot more complicated, and there's a lot more that goes into it than just learning a new concept and then jumping on the charts and trying to make it work. So my goal is get back what I lost on these challenges first and then reinvest as you do with more challenges. Good plan. It's a good plan, man. It can happen faster than you think. You spend a lot of time failing challenges. You spend a lot of time losing money. You spend a lot of time just in the trenches, just in being in the muck of failure. And then when it clicks and you pass and you get funded and you stay consistent and you reach that payout, you get your refund and you get a payout, and then you get a second payout. I mean, you can recoup your losses way faster than it took you to accumulate all those losses. So that is one of the nice things about when you become profitable and when you consistently start executing at a professional level. You can recover that stuff pretty quickly. Don't let that greed and don't let those payouts like just blind you and think, oh, I passed my challenge, I'm okay now, I know what I'm doing. You don't. You may still, you could still lose phase 2 and blow it. So stay cautious of yourself, stay vigilant, stay true to your system and to your trading rules and your risk management. Just keep doing what you did for phase 1. Don't change it. Just keep doing what you've already been doing. Don't get more aggressive. Don't over leverage. Don't try to do it in one trade. Just trade your A+ setup. Hey, good morning, Jack. Welcome in, man. We've been celebrating Shafa. Has passed his 10K challenge. Also, Corey, he's not in here yet, I don't think. Corey passed his 10K challenge. I got another message in my Twitter. I have to go back and find it. They passed. Starting to see you guys pull this stuff out. So, Jack, how are you doing on your challenges? And John, I don't think you ever answered me, man. Did you? How did your talk go? And how did you do any more investigation on your futures fund? Did you find any more about that? I'd love to hear how about that goes. Aditya, hey, this is nice. All of us guys just hanging out, trading live. I saw Aditya. I saw that you put up a video. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but this is the way, man. You've got to get out there and you've got to start showing people how to do this. If you are, the more the merrier. Always welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're watching. Shafa says, when you lose, you want to make ASAP your losses back. What my husband said is that just take your time, get your losses back in 6 months, and do not try to make them back faster. He was right. Sounds like a good man. He is right. There is no rush to make back all of your profits, all of your losses. I mean, it's going to take time. But just be patient. Just be patient. Shafa, are you a woman? Because I think you might be the first female viewer, as far as I know. Aditya says, right, man, the more the merry. Absolutely. Aditya started a YouTube channel and is documenting, I can't remember which firm, I think it's Smart Prop Trader maybe, is doing something similar, starting with their small account and going to try and get it to their max. I think they have a max funded account of 200K. I can't remember. But Shafa, it does not matter when they come back. The only thing that matters is taking time and knowing that sooner or later this will happen. That's right. That's the mindset you need. That is the mindset that you need. Smart prop trader, 10K to 200K. Cool. That's what I thought it was. 10K to 200K. It won't take you long. It goes faster than you think, Aditya. I mean, if you can pass a 10K, get funded, get a payout, you can buy on one, and if you can get to pass another challenge, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be able to buy a 200K pretty quick, and it won't take you long. John, what firm do you use? The Stone. If you're asking me, we're using Bespoke Funding for this current challenge. I'm also funded with the Funded Trader, but for this specific live stream, we are using Bespoke Funding because they offer $2 million in capital that you can purchase, not scaling, just you can purchase up to $2 million in account challenges. So that's who we're using, is Bespoke Funding. There's a link in my YouTube bio if you want to jump in with them. A couple guys have used it. You don't have to use it. I get a small commission if you use that link. I don't need it, but if you want to use it, cool. It's there. They're running some discounts right now too, so they're a great firm. Smart Prop Trader is great. My Funded FX is great. There's a lot of good ones out there right now. John, my good buddy trading partner canceled his Top Step account because he couldn't get it to earn money. He said that you have to pass 2 challenges before you get paid. I don't know that to be true. I think they have just changed that, John. I think that's one of the rules they just changed, is you just now have to hit 1 profit target, then you get a funded account. Then you have to have, I think the thing with Top Step is you have to have 5 profitable trading days before you can get a payout. Maybe it's 4, I can't remember. But I do think they just changed that. I mean, the 2-step challenge is that's a pretty common thing. Like that's what we do here. You have to hit 8% in step 1, and then you have to hit 5% in step 2. Then you get a funded account. So it's really 3 steps. So I don't know why maybe he just didn't understand the rules, but having multiple steps in the process is pretty common. I'm a female. I'm glad for this community, as I do not have any trader friends. Well, Shafa, welcome. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad that you can be a part of our community. I don't know a lot of female traders, but I feel like female traders are more inclined to have the right mindset for this business more than male traders. I think guys, I'm speaking in general terms, big painting with a big wide paintbrush here. Don't kill me. I think in general guys are they have a heavier risk appetite. They also are a little bit more overconfident than women in general. Not that you can't be, but they just tend to be, they have more bravado and machismo that makes them want to think that they're invincible. And they just, they think they can just jump in and do anything because I am man. And I think women are just more level-headed, I guess. I guess they're not, I don't know. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. That's just kind of how I think about it. I think women are just wired better mentally to handle this than men are. So surprised there's not more women traders than there are. But I'm glad you're here, Shafa, and I hope you'll stick around, and I hope this community is good for you. I hope you'll stay active in the chat. I'd love to hear how you progress. Let me know how your phase 2 goes too. John's right. It's so important to get trader friends, man. Don't do this alone. This business is hard enough as it is. Trying to do it alone, without accountability, without community, you're going to be so much more tempted without no one kind of looking over your shoulder. Even if I can't be there sitting with you, watching you, just knowing that we're here and that we're all doing this together, it makes such a huge difference in how you approach trading in the markets. So this is, yeah, man, I guess you're right. It won't take long to go from 10K to 200. I'm going to be coming for your target. Hey, come on, man. No competition. Anybody can do this. I wish there were more people documenting and showing how to start with a small challenge. That's how you really prove your trading skills. Start with the smallest challenge a firm has and use it to stack accounts, reach maximum funding. Show the world that you can do this. It's easy just to buy a challenge and then post, I just bought a 400K, but then you never post what happened after you got that 400K challenge or whatever. It's like, it's easy to go in and buy the maximum amount. I could go do that right now, but I'm not going to. I want to show you and document how you can do it this way, because this is really where most people are. They have the funds and the skills to start with a 10K and just build up from there. So Mr. Brooks John, check out Apteros Trading Futures Desk. Try it out. Morning Beeswax, welcome in. If you're looking for a futures firm, do check it out. They have very good emotional control, I guess. Women, I think they do. Fear and greed work on both men and women. I don't doubt it. I'm sure they do. But I don't know. There's just something that maybe I don't know. Maybe it's sexist of me to think that, but I just feel like women are more readily willing to accept, oh, I screwed up, I should change. And men are like, I'm just going to keep beating my head against this wall and doing the same stupid thing over and over and over. And I'm going to get something different the next time my head hits this wall. So yeah, but I'm glad you guys are here. Let's go jump around the charts here and see what's going on. We'll head over to Euro Dollar. We're on the weekly chart, and you can see we're just stuck between two fair value gaps right now. The higher fair value gap is holding price down. The lower fair value gap holding price up, and we're just right in the middle. And maybe NFP will break us loose today. Would be nice to see something happen. But you can see we'll drop down here to the 1 hour. And you can see we took out, yesterday we took out Thursday's low and Friday's low, and just like opposite dollar after it tapped into that, just reversed back up. So that, and now we're back into consolidation. Have obviously some relative equal highs up here and here that we still have in play, even that we were even identified yesterday. So there's our two fair value gaps, and you can just see we're bouncing around inside of them here. So until we see some, we have seen. So I did have to get up with my dog again in the middle of the night, and I was watching the Euro Dollar here. It ran these highs, and then we had displacement away. It just didn't leave a good fair value gap there anywhere in here on the 15 or 10. There was a small one here on the 5 minute that ended up working out once it displaced through. This is a nice looking breaker right here. This moved down, clear to run out the buy side, all of this buy side liquidity. And then you get the displacement away, and there's your fair value. Your breaker block is right here on the 5 minute. And of course, you can see your fair value gap sitting inside here. And if you had targeted, the top of that fair value gap, it's about 50% of the breaker. Whoops, that's the wrong one. You could have had a 6 pip stop, and that's a quick 1 to 2 winner right there. Might have been break even on this candle, depending on how. When you got down here, you would have been at break even, and it came back up. It just depends on if you took that trade, you might have gotten a break even trade there. So if you had gone a little bit higher and used, I only used about 7 pips is as much as I would go. My TP would have been down here. Probably still would have moved to break even there. So, but that was a decent setup. You would have had to gone down to the 5 minute to find that. But that was a nice little setup on the Euro Dollar here overnight. Since we've grabbed all this sell side liquidity, we've come back up. We have displaced above this breaker. Really, I would want to see a move above here. This swing level started up here, right? We had this push down. So this is really the displacement. You're going to want to see something displace above here. I mean, technically, you could come back here and say this is your breaker, and now you have a fair value gap. But with news coming up, we've got the NFP and unemployment rate numbers coming out. There's nothing to do until we get past there. We're not going to take any trades. Well, you shouldn't be taking any trades, and I'm not going to be getting into any positions until after that news event comes out in about an hour from now. Shafa says, unable to join the streams every time, but when I get a chance and you're streaming, more than happy to join. You also keep doing these. Pleasure to listen, and I learn something new every time I watch. I'm grateful for that encouragement, and I'm so grateful that you come in when you can. Just keep popping in, and when you're in here, make sure you say hi in the chat and keep us up to date on how your Phase 2 challenge is going. You guys are talking about Aptera. Is that the name of it? I don't know how many people observe this, but trading after news is one of the easiest things to do. There are a few setups if you observe properly. Yeah, I mean, there's typically that's definitely when you can find some decent setups. Is trading after the news. Good morning, David, and welcome in Apteros Prop Desk. I've not heard of Apteros. Well, I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't do the futures, so the futures firms just seem. I don't know why I don't know why the futures firms, number one, are more expensive. And number two, why they have such small drawdown rules and parameters. I just feel like they have so much stricter just conditions than Forex. So I'm not sure why people always want to trade the futures. But I've not really been into that very much, so there may be a reason for that. I just don't know what it is. Pound dollar, here we are on the daily. It's definitely more bullish. We've had we're pushing up here. Where euro has been consolidating, the pound has been pushing up. And yesterday we took out the highs. We did not take out last week's high yet, but we're pushing up. And you can see here, let me drop down here and I'll show you what happened overnight. You can see that we ran some buy-side liquidity, but you didn't get a really good clear displacement lower. But then once you tapped into this sell-side liquidity, we took off and we displaced back up. Now, where did this aggressive move after we grabbed this sell-side liquidity? Where did this move start? Well, it started on this candle right here on the 15-minute time frame. This is the last up-close candle that initiated the run down to grab sell-side liquidity, right? So where did this aggressive move started here? Did this move start after grabbing liquidity? Yes, it did. So where did this liquidity run start? It started up here. Great. Okay, we trade through, we get displacement. Is there a fair value gap inside that breaker? Well, of course there is, because that's what it does over and over. And you would probably have gotten long somewhere at the bottom of that fair value gap, as close to 50% as you could of the breaker. You would have put your stop either below the breaker or below the candle that created the breaker. In this instance, yeah, you could potentially 2 to 1 would be right there. You almost hit take profit. It just depends on where. It's probably going to hit take profit anyway, but you'd be at break even now if you took that trade. So another good opportunity from our London session on both the euro dollar. This one was on the 15 minute. And you could have used this fair value gap here on the 5 minute, which was right there, and you could have then gotten your true 50% entry, and you could have tightened up your stop to there and gotten a quicker TP. So there's a couple different ways you could have played the pound setup here. Either on the 15 or the 5 minute, both of those would have worked out this morning if you were trading the London session. Did anybody identify either one of those trades on euro dollar or pound dollar this morning in the chat? Any of our London traders, did you guys find those setups and able to take advantage of that? I'd love to hear it. Mr. Brooks, very strict. Yes, I think future space needs some new firms with some loss rules. I'm really interested to see what My Funded FX is starting a futures firm called My Funded Futures, their sister firm. I think it's supposed to be launching in the next couple of weeks, so I'm really interested to see what they're going to do to disrupt that space a little bit, because I agree it definitely needs some disruption. Aditya, have you been in the stream before? I can't remember if you have. I feel like I've seen your name, but I don't know if you have or not, or if you're still here. Peter says, got in GU trade at 27,351. Way down here. Let's go look. So I don't know. Peter, are you using this system? Was this just a lower time frame? Yeah, because I don't see any displacement here on the 5 minute. I did run, I mean, here's where it ran sell side liquidity and moved away. But I don't see where you would have used a breaker because you didn't get displacement above. So you must have been just using you must have a different trading system than what we're using here on the live stream to get in that trade. Entry was on the 1 minute after taking out sell side. Yeah, we just don't trade the 1 minute time frame. But I mean, if that fits your system and that works for you, good catch. Just keep executing your trading rules and execute your trading plan. And just stay faithful to your rules. That's the main thing. Don't break your rules. Don't break them. Shuff, I do not trade news, but I am favoring gold in a down movement. Yeah, gold I think it looks heavy. In fact, it's pulling back up into this breaker block, this on the hourly time frame here. I'm not taking this trade, but we identified this setup yesterday, and I told you it would take a while to play out. But this could be a nice little move on gold here. You had this breaker block, grabbed buy side liquidity, aggressive move down, fair value gap, breaker. We haven't gotten our entry yet, or where our entry where I would want an entry to be, but yeah, I think gold has more downside as well. But it's gold, and who the heck knows what's actually going to happen because it's gold. And this may be the last week I use gold on here. There is a big fair value gap that might tap and sink. Yep. It's currently up into the hourly fair value gap here right now. So we're just waiting to see. I would like it to see it come up a little bit higher here to about 50% of that breaker. And that's where I would anticipate a sell-off. But again, we're not doing anything until after NFP comes out. So US 30, here's your daily time frame. Big bearish candle yesterday. We're just in consolidation. We came out of consolidation, broke above it, and now we're consolidating again. Interesting thing on the indices here, you actually have some SMT. So here on the US 30, you can see it fell to make a higher high above here. But on the S&P, it made a higher high and then fell away. And if we pull up NAS, what is it? Is it NAS? NAS 100 maybe? Is that what it is? I don't know if that's right or not. US 100 cash, yeah, basically the same thing. And you can see we failed to make a higher high on the NAS as well. So you got some SMT between the indexes. Whoops. Get rid of that. All right. US 30 failed to make that high. S&P did make that high. So could see some more downward. This could be a sign that we have some more downward weight on the market. The economy is, and the reason fundamentally why that's happening is the economy is showing no sign of slowing down, which is reinforcing the Fed's hawkish behavior of continuing to want to raise interest rates and slow the economy down and bring inflation down. So that's weighing heavy on the markets currently. And with that, you're seeing a dollar pump, or you did, but then it fell away. And if you get more bullish news today from NFP, you can see that dollar maybe grab some sell side and then just whip up. And we'll see if the dollar can close above this fair value gap today. Now, if it's bearish news for the dollar, you've got these fair value gaps in play, but the ADP job numbers seemed to point to an economy, that is pumping hard and not slowing down. So the Fed is way more likely to continue to bump its interest rates, trying to get a handle on slowing this freight train down, this economy down a little bit. It's really weird. You see all these strong economy numbers, but I don't know. I think out in the real world, it feels different. It doesn't feel like we're in a very good economy right now. Everything is still way more expensive. People are having to pick up second jobs and make extra income because this time last year or the year before, they weren't having to, but now they do. So all of these positive job numbers, while it looks like you're creating more jobs, the reality is the economy is in such a state that they have to go get more jobs so they can keep eating and paying bills because things have gotten more expensive. So that's why the Fed is still likely to keep raising interest rates, because the inflation is still super high comparatively to what their 2% target is. Their target is to keep it at 2%, and it's, I don't know, in the fives. It's been over 5, but even last year it still was way over 5 year over year. Where is the fair value gap in gold? The gold fair value gap is this big orange block right here on the hourly time frame. 30-minute time frame, it's we're already into it. It would be down here. And the 15-minute, it looks like the 30. So this huge candle right here is what created this large fair value gap, John. From this, the low of this candle to the high of this candle is your 15-minute fair value gap. On the hourly, which is what I was basing the setup you see here, the high of this candle, the low of this candle, and the imbalance is in between. So there's your fair value gap on gold. It could come all the way up and refill that. And again, with NFP, do not try to trade it. Wait until the news comes out, and then we will see if we're going to have an opportunity to take a trade today. There is no rush to finish the week with a trade. We don't have to trade today. It's totally fine if we don't take a trade. I'm in no rush to get out of this drawdown. I only want to take an A+ setup. And we just one win, and we're back to break even. That's it. GBP, JPY, we looked at this yesterday. There was a nice little setup on the 5-minute chart yesterday that ended up working out. That I think Jack pointed that out to everybody. I have a fixed RR stone, yes. 1 to 2. Actually, it's like 1 to 2.1. I go a little bit more than 1 to 2 just to get a true 1 to 2 risk reward ratio to cover the cost of the trade. So commissions, spread, all of that. I go a little bit like it's really like 1 to 2 point. It goes between like 2.09 to 2.1 is typically where I can cover the cost of the trade and get a true 1 to 2 risk reward ratio. Easy low hanging fruit is what I go for. It's like a spider crawling around on the ground. Spider. I'm new here. Could you go over your strategy trading plan? Yes, I'm actually going to create a video for this because anytime someone new comes in, they always have those questions, and it's fine. You can have those questions. That's not a dumb question. We'll use U.S. oil. Yesterday, U.S. oil, actually, there was a great setup here on U.S. oil. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah. You need to make a video. I worked on the script of it yesterday, and so today I'm going to try and shoot it. I don't have much going on today, so I'm going to try and shoot that video today and just keep it up on the channel. A quick explanation, but we can go over it here. I'm fine with going over it. We've got time. We're waiting on that news to hit. So basically what we're looking for is we want to see a run on liquidity. This is good for everybody. It's always a good refresher to go over. This is the ICT breaker block strategy. Actually, it's Venator Trading's version of ICT's original concept. I don't know that this is exactly how he would trade or tell you to trade the breaker block. This is how I have adapted his concept, which if you watch his stuff and you listen to it, he tells you don't just do everything I do. Take these concepts and build your own trading system. So that's what I've done. I've taken his concept and I've built my own trading system off of this. And here's how it is. I want to see, this is one of the this is the strategy that we use on this live stream. I have a couple other strategies that I use. But on this live stream, I'm just teaching you and showing you how to use one trading model, one setup, master it, be patient, only take A+ setups, and use it to pass these challenges. So we're going to look for a run on liquidity. We're going to wait until we see a run on liquidity, an aggressive, quick stab up into a liquidity void. So in this instance, We're in an uptrend, and so we would be anticipating this liquidity being the drawn liquidity. There's orders up resting above this area, above these highs, and above these highs. So once we see price stab up quickly and aggressively into this liquidity, we look back and we identify, where did this run on liquidity start? This aggressive run, this quick run up into liquidity, where did it start? It started on this down close candle. Price moved down on this candle, and then it initiated that run into our liquidity void. So we're just going to highlight this candle here, and we're going to draw it out in time. And now we're just going to wait and see, is price going to continue to trend up, or was this a stop hunt? If this was a stop hunt, then we would anticipate an aggressive move away from this area. And once price trades through and aggressively trades through this candle, this is a breaker, this would become a breaker block candle once we see price trade back through there. You see price just hang around up there, and then you get this aggressive move down right here. So it comes back. It's like, oh, no, it's still not trading through this candle. We grabbed liquidity. We failed to make a new high, which is another signal we're heading lower. We didn't displace above and make a new high. Instead, we get an aggressive move. See how it's an aggressive move down, and it trades through that breaker block. Once this candle closes, we identify, is there a fair value gap nested inside of that breaker? And sure enough, there's one right there. As soon as this candle closes, we would place our order, and for me, I would target somewhere around the middle 50% of either the order block or the fair value gap. So probably somewhere right around here. I would place my stop up above the candle that created the fair value gap, also above the breaker. And then we would target 1 to 2. And then we just wait. And we just wait. Right there, we get tapped in. And there's your winner. So that's the strategy. Run on liquidity. So you have buy side liquidity resting up here. You get a quick stab up into it. You get displacement and aggressive move back through the breaker block. This candle is what initiated the run into the stops. So once this candle is traded through, it becomes a breaker. You identify a fair value gap from the displacement leg through the breaker, set your order, put your stop, 1 to 2, close your charts. Easy low-hanging fruit, rinse and repeat. The setup shows up multiple times a week across multiple pairs. So that's our bread and butter setup right there. That's what we look for. It's a quick and dirty breakdown for you. I'll actually probably use this oil trade. I can't remember who found that yesterday on the stream, but it was great. Great find. But that's the strategy. Jack, this particular setup is called the unicorn setup from ICT or something. Could be. It could be. I think I remember hearing it called unicorn, and it's when you identify a fair value gap inside of there. What is going on with my? I need to restart my MT5. It doesn't look like it's connected. Not connected. Oh, the internet was not connected. Let's try that again. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we can get. Wonder why that's not wanting to connect. I may need to restart this machine. shut that down and restart it. Sorry about that. Yeah, glad to help. We should look at oil more often. I have never traded oil before. But this works across any market, so I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't work and shouldn't work. It may have been after you left. I can't remember exactly when. Caleb, good morning, y'all. First time here, buying into the patience. That's what I admire these days, waiting to get the A+ set up. I like that. Thanks, sir. Welcome in. I'm just going to call you Caleb. I don't want to try to mess up that last name there for you. But I'm glad you're here, and yes, man, buy into the patience. That's where the magic happens. Being patient, being patient, being patient. You don't need to take 100 trades. You just need to take 1 or 2 really good trades. That's all you need to do. And to do those and to find those, you just have to sit on your hands and do nothing. Man, I got something in my eye. All right, let's start that back up. My laptop that I use with MT5 was not connecting to the internet. It says it was connected, but it wasn't. So that's no bueno. Let me get over here, log in. Password was incorrect. Okay, well. There we go. Welcome in, everybody. If you're just joining the stream, we've just been kind of talking and going over the charts. We're not really going to be doing anything here yet today until after the news hits at 8:30. We've got unemployment numbers and the non-farm payroll numbers coming out, which obviously are big red folder news events that create quite a bit of volatility in the markets. And you don't want to be in any trade or position until after that news event hits. All right, let me see if I can get that. All right, okay, it looks like it's working now. Got to go through all that boot up stuff. Close that. I don't need Discord open over there. I don't need Steam open. All right, now it looks like it's working. There we go. Jack seeing a potential setup on pound Aussie, not one I trade, but looks good. We'll go take a look in a second. John says, my thing with University of Missouri, Kansas City went great. They offered a class to help future student do well on the ACT, and I was the teacher for the mathematics section. Awesome. Cool, John. Good job. I did not do well on my ACT scores. I guess colleges still use those to, at least here in the States, still use those, the SAT and ACT to determine entry requirements. I guess, I assume they still are doing that. So that's cool, man. The Stone, do you incorporate daily bias in trading? Yeah, so yes and no. I do try to, I always want to have a good understanding of where my higher time frame bias is, but that does not mean, like, there are days when I don't have a clear daily bias. And that's happened actually quite a bit the last couple of weeks, where I haven't had a super strong vibe on where the market wanted to trend or go on a higher time frame. And so, because it's been moving sideways in a lot of these markets, we've been stuck in pretty tight ranges. And so when that happens, I'm not necessarily married to a bias. I just want to see a run on liquidity, right? And then I want to see displacement away. Is there a fair value gap? after it runs liquidity. So run liquidity. Do we get aggressive move after we grab liquidity, and then try to identify the setup inside of that? Because we're going for 1-to-2 risk reward ratio, we don't necessarily have to always be 100% in line with our bias for our trade setups to work out. We can be on the wrong side of the higher time frame bias, but because we're only going for a set 1-to-2 risk reward ratio, very often we can capture that 1-to-2 before the higher time frame bias moves in the opposite direction. So yes and no. I know that's not a super strong answer, but I do want to be in line with the higher time frame bias. I do try to have going into each day, I try to have a preference on what my higher time frame bias is. But when I don't have a super clear bias, I just look for a run on liquidity and displacement. And I use the 15-minute time frame to do that. Jack, another potential on Aussie CAD. Jack's fine on all these setups. We'll go look at a couple of these. We've got about 30 minutes before news. Don't try pronouncing it. You don't need to take 100 trades. Just find 1 or 2 trades. And to find those, you just need to sit on your hands and do nothing. You got it, man. That's it. That's it. All right, let's go check out. I think you said pound Aussie was your first one, Jack. Is that right? Yeah, pound Aussie. Drop down here to our 15-minute time frame, see what we see. All right, so you can see we've run sell side liquidity. And by doing so, we had a quick stab. See this quick stab down? Consolidation, right? Quick stab down into sell side liquidity. After we had sell side liquidity, we failed to make a new low, and instead we aggressively traded up higher through the breaker. So the question becomes, where did this swing start? You could either use this candle right here, or you could use these 2 candles together. If it were me, it just depends on what time frame you want to look at here. Probably, if you use the 5-minute, it started here, quick stab down, failed to make a low, displaced higher. You did have a little fair value gap right there that you didn't get displacement here, so I probably would have stuck away and probably would be using this higher. I would probably be using these candles here for a breaker. This isn't super clean. Currently, we have a small fair value gap, but it's above the breaker, and I prefer to see a fair value gap inside the breaker on the 10-minute. There's a volume imbalance inside the breaker, no fair value gap, and on the 5-minute, it's already tapped into that fair value gap. So yeah, this isn't super clean for me right here on pound Aussie. What's the 30-minute look like? 30-minute looks a lot better. Look at this on the 30-minute. That looks a lot cleaner. And you have your fair value gap down here at the bottom end of that range. So that could potentially, on the 30-minute time frame, be something. But he says Aussie CAD looks better, so we'll go see. Always like to see setups if we can find them and let you see that this is this strategy works on any asset class and across any pair, because the price moves from liquidity to liquidity. That's how price moves. That's how it books. So we want to identify, we have a quick stab up into your buy side liquidity. You have relative equal highs right there. So it takes out stops and then an aggressive move away. Where did this stab up into liquidity begin? It began on these two candles right here. There's your breaker block. And once you have traded through, where is your fair value gap? It did tap up into that fair value gap, so it may not need to come all the way back up there, but there is your 15-minute fair value gap nested inside of the breaker. I just need it to get to about 50%, which is right at the bottom end of that fair value gap, and you could put your stop above the candle that created the fair value gap right there. And you would target 1 to 2.1, somewhere down there, which is in line with your sell side liquidity. If it takes out multiple of these sell side before it gives you an entry, then you would probably not want to use that order. Let's see if there's a better 10-minute. Doesn't really have anything cleaner there. 5-minute, again, you can see once it displaced through, it came back up into that 5-minute fair value gap there. So you could have, if you were using the 5-minute, which this strategy does work on all time frames, and 5-minute is as low as I would go. You can see that's a really nice setup here. So it ran liquidity here and here, stabbed up quick, displaced back through. Where did this swing start? It started right here. These two candles, quick stab up, displacement back through. You have two fair value gaps. I would use the higher one that's inside that breaker. And the 50% of this breaker lines up again with the bottom of that fair value gap. So as soon as this candle closes, you would set your order. And you could even put your stop a little bit tighter, either above that swing or above this candle. It's 4 pips is super tight. I would probably just go with probably something up here. And it gives you a tighter stop and a shorter take profit area. So there's another good example of the strategy. Quick run on liquidity, displacement away, fair value gaps nested inside of your breaker. Target. So yeah, nice setup. If you were using the 15-minute, you would not be in this trade, I don't think. I don't think you would even have gotten in this trade yet if you were on the 15-minute, because you would be wanting to use that right there. That would be what you would be, and you would need to do this on the 15-minute time frame. So that's the difference between the different time frames, and that's how I use it. I would go down each time I'm looking for a trade. I'm going to be looking for an opportunity to see if I can find a little bit more clarity on the lower time frames. Once you see the setup appearing on the higher time frames, you see that run, you start to see liquidity, you can drop down into the 10 and into the 5. But yeah, nice clean setup there. Aussie CAD plays out every time, all the time. This setup is a great setup, guys. It's a very simple mechanical strategy. You don't have to do a lot of guesswork on this. There's not a lot of subjectivity to it. It's very clear rules, and you know what you're looking for. And just keep taking screenshots. Every time we find these, the more you look at them and the more you identify them, the more you're going to be able to confidently execute them in a live market environment. Shafa Venator, sorry if I missed that, but why have you purchased another 10K challenge? So after we got funded, the first payout, we were at basically just above break even. So we didn't get a large payout on the first funded account payout. We just got our refund. And with that refund, we bought a second 10K challenge. Then when we passed phase 1 of this 10K challenge, it means we also made 8% on our funded account. And then we took that 8% payout and we bought this 100K challenge. So we used the payout from the refund from this funded account to purchase this challenge. By passing this challenge and using this account, our funded account, to copy trades onto our phase 1 challenge, we made 8% on both. We took this 8% payout and we purchased our 100K challenge. Does time matter for the strategy? Yes, time definitely matters. So we're only taking trades between 7 a.m. New York and no later than 11 a.m. New York. So we have about a 4-hour window, 3.5 hours, 10:30 to 11 is about as late as I would go. And then we don't take trades before Red Folder News. So we would wait for Red Folder News to hit before we would do anything else. Into the 8 o'clock hour here, we've got about 24 minutes left before we get our NFP news, and then we'll see what happens. Aditya, I have seen you have retweeted about Tom Hugard book. Is it a good book? Oh, yes. Best Loser Wins is an absolute gem. You definitely need to add that to your trading library and read it and get familiar with it. It really did help me probably the most. It's the book that probably helped me the most really help turn around the psychology side of it for me, really understand how much my subconscious brain self-defense mechanisms are in constant conflict with the way a professional trader needs to respond when you come to a trading session. You're in constant pain. Every time you open the markets, you are immediately in constant pain. The pain and the fear of not being in a trade and missing out on profits. So to get rid of that pain, you get into a trade, but then you immediately have new pain. The pain of potentially hitting your stop loss and blowing that, or the pain of losing profits if the trade moves into your favor. It's just you're in a constant battle with fear, greed, the pain of all of that. And that book really helped me get to a place where I was able to get a handle on that and just kind of grow up really and stopped acting like a child. When you give into your emotions, it's childish behavior. When you let your emotions dictate how you're going to respond and act, that is childish behavior. That's how children act. Children are controlled completely by their feelings. And adults don't do that. Adults step above and live above their emotions. They're aware of their emotions, but they also know that emotions will, more often than not, lead you down a foolish path of decision making. And so that book is a great book to really help. It really helped me a lot. I highly recommend it. No. I will hold after 11 if I'm in a trade. Once I'm in a trade, I just let it run. It's either going to hit my stop loss. I'm either going to get to be able to move to break even, or I'm going to hit my take profit. So once I'm in a trade, if it's just still running after those times, I'll just let it do whatever it's going to do. I will close it by the end of the day. I'm not going to hold a trade over trading session hours. So I will close a trade no matter where it's at by the end of the trading session. But I'll let it run. If we get into a position before that, I will let it run. This Aussie CAD trade is tempting me. Well, I mean, it's a pretty decent setup, brother. I mean, it's not too bad. Not too bad. You know, it looks like on a higher time frame, on the 1 hour for what's the daily doing here? So we're in a downtrend. So you're trading in line. We took out liquidity here. We've displaced through. We traded back below after we grabbed liquidity here. And we've pulled back. So yeah, we're in a downtrend. You took out a pretty good level of liquidity there, and you've displaced away. So yeah, I mean, Jack, it's not. I don't trade this pair, but not bad. It is taking out that sell side liquidity there, so it could just tap into that and expand higher here, but not a bad, not a bad looking setup. Not bad. Gold almost up to our identified preferred entry level on gold. We have about, I don't know, 14 more minutes here. Stone, the book I'm talking about is called The Best Loser Wins by Tom Hugard. I think that's how you say his name. I will I'll show it to you. It's this book right here. Tom Hugard, Best Loser Wins, Why Normal Thinking Never Wins the Trading Game. Not everything in his book. He gets into some stuff about his specific style of trading that it doesn't work for me. Like I wouldn't use his specific style of trading, the way he thinks about risk management, the way he enters positions and stacks positions. Like his specific trading model is not for me, but the psychology that he talks about in the book is the gold. It's the gems in that book. So much good stuff in there from him about that. So definitely highly recommend that book. You won't be disappointed, I don't think. I think you'll relate to a lot of what he talks about and what he says and the psychology behind it all. All right, so we've got 8:30. We've got about 17 minutes here. We're getting close to seeing what is going to happen today. We've got we're going to have unemployment rate. We're going to have non-farm payroll, employment change, and we're going to have our average hourly earnings month over month. So we've got 3 red folder news events here that will be coming out. Letting the devil tell me, yeah, dude, you got to stick with your pairs. It's fine to jump around, guys, and look at other pairs. And if you're not seeing your setup on one pair, I would only take trades on the pairs that you have back tested the data on. But just for your own benefit of forward testing means that you're identifying the setup on different charts, on different pairs. You can use that, and it just helps train your eye and your brain in a live market to see that. But I would still, just because you see it doesn't mean you need to trade it. If you don't, you might get lucky on one trade, and the worst thing that a trader could do is be lucky. It reinforces bad habits, and it makes you think that you can just jump into any pair on any time frame, spot the setup, and be successful. Stick with your pairs. I know it gets boring when you're just sitting here waiting for news to drop and you want to jump around and you're fighting that pain, that temptation of, I need to be in a trade right now. Why am I just sitting here doing nothing? There are other pairs that I could be trading. There's other things I could be doing. I could be making money. You have to fight that greed and that pain that comes from that that temptation. So if it fits your trading system, execute. If it doesn't, then just use it as a way to identify a potential setup. On gold, where would your stop be? Where it is right here above that swing high. If I took it, I would not have any kind of entry set here. When this news drops, gold could give you a candle, a massive candle up and a massive candle down in just a couple of minutes. So be very, very cautious. Worried about those two equal highs. On gold, I'm always worried about everything. No, I'm not worried about these two highs here, if that's what you mean. If you're talking about these up here, the draws on liquidity up here would worry me more about this one than that one right there. If this is going to be bearish, if we're going to be short here, then it needs to respect bearish order flow, which means it's not going to break and make new highs. If we're going to trend down here from this point, it needs to respect the bearish order flow. It needs to respect fair value gaps. It needs to respect order blocks. It needs to respect swing highs. If it doesn't respect those, then we're on the wrong side of the market. So that's why we can place our stops above PD arrays, because if we're on the right side of the market, price will respect the bearish order flow here. When you see PD arrays get violated, they become inverted and then can push price the other way. So you always want to put your stop above a PD array that is in line with your bias in your direction. And if you're correct, those things should be respected. Doesn't mean they always will be, but that's the logic behind it. Trading supply and demand zones. I know that there are traders that have had a lot of success with supply and demand zones. In the way I view the market now is that supply and demand is really built around liquidity and the way price delivers efficiently. So in my mind, yeah, I guess it's not true supply and demand. It's just liquidity. So there's similar concepts, I guess, that price wants to reach to liquidity. And if you can label liquidity, buy side is supply and sell side is demand. So, I mean, similar concepts, just different vocabulary, I guess. All right, we're getting some, pre-news movement and positioning here. So again, guys, we're just going to watch and wait. We're going to see what liquidity this news wants to grab, and then we're going to see if we get displacement away from that liquidity. And if we don't get a setup today, totally fine. Totally, perfectly fine. I'm going to watch Euro dollar here throughout this news drop, see what happens. Any thoughts from the chat on what this news is going to do? Are we going to be bullish dollar? Or are we going to be bearish dollar? What do y'all think when this news hits? We're going to start a new trend. There's no right or wrong answer. Just throw it out there. What do y'all think is going to happen? You have a 50-50 shot of being right. Bragging rights on your complete and utter guess of what's going to happen. I can't believe people are right now, they're taking trades trying to guess what's about to happen, and they're going to lose challenges. These firms are going to post the statistics later today about how many people blew their accounts and lost their funded accounts trying to trade this stupid news event right here. Jack says bullish dollar. Adrian's bearish. Hey, Sai, good morning or afternoon, good evening. Is this a good time to full port? Yes, this is definitely, we just got dealt 7-2 offsuit on this poker hand, and we're going all in right now. We're taking the worst hand in poker, 7-2 offsuit, and we're putting all our chips on the table. We're going all in. Massive bluff right here. Full port. Max leverage. Max lots. Let's go. This is financial advice, by the way. You should go all in right here. Don't do it. I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic. If sarcasm is not part of your cultural heritage, I am being sarcastic. Do not. This is complete and utter entertainment. This is not financial advice. Bearish. Adrian says bearish. Stone says bearish. Jack says bullish. I think we pop down. It wouldn't surprise me if, if we pop up on euro dollar, take out some highs, hit this fair value gap, and then we just tank. I would be bullish dollar more than bearish. I think these equal lows are going to get slapped here on euro dollar. That's my I'm on the bullish dollar bandwagon. That's where my guess is going. So me and Jack are bullish. Adrian's bearish. Stone's bearish. What's the question? What's the news going to be? Is it going to be bullish dollar news or bearish dollar news, John? What do you think? NFP, is it going to send the dollar higher or is it going to send the dollar lower? Size bullish. We got 3 bulls, 2 bears. Oh, bearish euro, no freaking clue. None of us have a freaking clue, John. We're just having fun. We're just trying to throw out a complete uneducated guess so that we can have bragging rights when half of us are right. Because the answer is, you said it, hit the nail on the head. None of us have any freaking clue what's about to happen. Which is why none of us should be in a trade right now at all. All of the prop firms right now have turned off their copy trading. All of their accounts have been shut down today. They are not copy trading any of their traders from now until probably 15 to 30 minutes after the news hits. Maybe they turn them back on. But I promise you right now, there is not one prop firm that is copy trading anyone, any of their funded traders. There might be some that are fading and copy trading just to all these people that are going to try and guess. But most likely they're not, because there's no way to know who's going to be right, who's going to be wrong. So if the professional traders are on the sidelines, you should be on the sidelines. It is a complete roulette. Yep. I am black. I'm on black. All my money's on black right now. Walking into a casino, we're putting it all on black. Green. Ain't nobody going to be green on this, John. It's just going to be red everywhere when this news hits, because the likelihood that you get whipped, if you've got an order set below and above, the likelihood that the spreads widen and you get slapped in on both sides is pretty high here. So we got about 5 more minutes. Oh, 0-0 is green. Yeah, no number, 0. You're right. I saw a crazy story about this guy, this mathematician that had basically, um, I don't know if he figured out or how to rig roulette, but he basically was making a killing playing roulette. He would come in with two other people and they would wait. Somehow they had this system where they would wait after the ball had already been dropped by the dealer and it was spinning as it was starting to slow. Then they would rush and within like 10 seconds, the three of them would place multiple trades covering certain numbers, and they got kicked out of several casinos because they were just killing the roulette game. It was a fascinating article. I don't know if anybody saw that. I can't remember the name of the person, but I saw it on Twitter or maybe it was YouTube. I can't remember. It was fascinating. He's some mathematician guy, and it's gambling is all about numbers, and so it makes sense that a nerd would break the system. If get more gamblers, John, I'm surprised you haven't. You're a mathematician. Surprised you haven't cracked the code yet, buddy. If I find the article, I'll put it up in the. I'll share it with you guys. But we're gonna wait till after the news hits. I don't have time here. It's 3 minutes to go. I mean, a little bit. We're all nerds because we're all doing this, but I can do math, but I don't like it. I did great in school. Uh, I never had a problem with any of the math or the sciences. I mean, I was basically an A student all the way through my education career. I didn't enjoy math though. It was not fun. It was not like it wasn't interesting to me. It was just something that I understood and I could do what needed to be done, but I didn't like it. It was ugh. Geek. Yep, geek works. Nerd, geek, dork. No, not dork. Dork doesn't have to be. You don't have to be a dork. There's a lot of people that are dorks that aren't necessarily smart people. But nerds and geeks, yeah, I think they're smart people. You can be a nerd and a geek and not be a dork. Although, I guess more than likely you're gonna be more dorky if you are a nerd and a geek. I'm just making stuff up. I don't even know. I don't even know. All right, 1 minute, and then we get to sit back and eat some popcorn and watch the fireworks. I'm gonna get to see what these numbers come in at. My kids used to watch SpongeBob SquarePants, which is really one of the funniest cartoons for adults to also watch. It's freaking hilarious. But every time something is about to happen, there was this thing that SpongeBob used to do. He'd be like, "I'm ready, I'm ready." He'd sing this little stupid song. It always goes through my head every time uh, something like this is happening. I can hear SpongeBob in the back of my head. I don't know if there's any SpongeBob fans out there, but if you've got kids and you grew up in the early 2000s, they grew up in the early 2000s. SpongeBob, man, brilliant comedy. A lot of it would go right over kids' heads, but I know all the parents loved it. All right, here we go. Bearish dollar getting a pop above into buy side liquidity here. Non-farm came in way lower than expected. It was at they were expecting 224, came in at 209. Unemployment rate came in exactly at 3.6 as expected, and the average hourly earnings were up just a tick higher at 0.4. They were expecting 0.3. So we're getting a run on buy side liquidity here. The question becomes non-farm employment change. They were expecting 224. It came in at 209. So the dollar has gapped down and taken out buy or sell side liquidity here. And so the question is does this push the dollar lower, or is this just a run on liquidity that now is going to, this is a Judas swing here potentially. And we will find that out shortly. Pound jumped way up, big gap on pound here into buy side liquidity. And it's got these relative equal highs up here in its sight. So we will see exactly what's going on. You can see gold flying up. If the dollar is going to be bearish, you would expect gold to be bullish slightly. So again, you don't gosh, my allergies are killing me this morning. That Aussie CAD play out on the 15-minute. You would probably not be in this trade because it took sell side, sell side, sell side, sell side. So I don't know. I don't know if you were interested in the Aussie CAD trade. It's coming back up to your 15-minute entry, but pound is just running away very aggressively. Massive gap. Euro dollar pushing hard and high. We did take out some sell side liquidity here. But with this quick stab up, we're gonna let the next couple 15-minute candles close before we see if we have any kind of entry available to us. If it's gonna remain bullish, this bullish candle here, this up close candle, started that run on liquidity. It took out this old low here, and then we had the push up after the news. So that could be a breaker, but we're not going to rush into anything here, guys. We're not going to try to convince ourselves to take a trade. We're just going to watch and wait, see if we get a clear. Pound also took out sell side here, took out this swing low, took it out, and then popped up. So that would be your breaker here, these two up close candles. Obviously, massive large gap here. US 30 did not get a super strong reaction. Has reached up and taken out buy side here, the overnight highs. The London high took out the Asian high, and now it's fallen back down. S&P pushing up higher. US 30 is lagging behind a little bit. Oh. Dollar is showing a lot of weakness after that NFP news. So weird how the ADP numbers can come out twice as high as they expected. And then the non-farm employment chain drops way lower than expected. How does that happen? How can they be in such contrast with each other? Meanwhile, the unemployment rate stays exactly the same. It doesn't go up or down. But we saw 500,000 jobs added on the ADP employment rolls yesterday. Something is not adding up, boys and girls. Which number is true? Which number is accurate? Which one should you believe? Because they are definitely not lining up with each other. All right, tapping down into this inverted fair value gap. Pound taking off, euro taking off. All the bearish dollar folks were right. Beeswax, my kids grew up on SpongeBob. Well, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's freaking hilarious. John, so I'm a nerd football coach. Those actually exist. Mike Shanahan, Joe Paterno. Yeah, there's some nerd football coaches for sure. There's some nerd basketball coaches too. I think of like Van Gundy. Van Gundy's a nerd basketball coach. But yeah, those. I mean, sports has become so statistic driven across the board that you kind of have to be a nerd with all of the numbers in the sports world these days. It makes sense that a mathematician would be also a good football coach. Coming up into these relative equal highs up here on Eurodollar. This is a weekly fair value gap that we're sitting inside of. So the question is will we get a close? Will the dollar be so weak that euro pushes above and can close above that the box that it's reaching for? It's trying to get up there now pretty aggressively. Dollar is dropping heavily into this inverted fair value gap, and this is a regular bullish fair value gap here that we would anticipate. It's been trapped inside these two fair value gaps here, so we would anticipate some sort of support off of this level. Pound Aussie playing out. Is it the weaker of the two setups? There's your breaker. Right there. And it's tapping into that. This one is the one that didn't have a super clean fair value gap inside. It did reach down into that fair value gap right there, and it's pulling away. It's crazy how these breakers work so consistently. This is, to me, kind of the make or break point for if the dollar is going to be bearish. It can't respect these fair value gaps here, which it's currently doing, pulling back up off of these fair value gaps. So if you get any kind of stab, like if this starts displacing higher here off of these levels, we've grabbed liquidity, quick spike down. If we get displacement higher, then obviously you have some breakers forming here. You're seeing some rejection now off of these highs from pound. This weekly fair value gap showing resistance here after clearing out buy side, buy side, buy side. Left that high in place, left these relative equal highs in place currently. Left these relative equal highs in place. So it could still push up, but very interesting to see how these PD arrays continue to hold price up or down. Your chart is different to mine. On Pound Aussie, Jack, this is different. I'm on the 15-minute time frame. This one looks different than what you have. Are you sure you're on Pound Aussie or Aussie CAD? Oh, you're using Pepperstone, different broker. Yeah, this is FXCM. Let's look at Pepperstone. Oh yeah, it definitely did wick a lot lower. Wow. That's crazy how these brokers vary so much. It definitely wicked a lot lower there. And I didn't even look and see what did 8 cap do. 8 cap also did not. Look at the difference on these two candle wicks on 8 cap. Same chart, these two candle wicks on Pepperstone and these two candle wicks on FXCM. It's the difference in brokers. It's crazy. It's so odd. Didn't get down into the fair value gap on 8 cap. Man, so weird. Pound is coming back down pretty strong here, trying to fill in that gap that it created. Euro dollar also pulling off its high, and the dollar index is starting to rebound after grabbing sell side liquidity and tapping into this inverted daily fair value gap. So again, there's still nothing to do except watch and wait. If we get a setup here, I believe it would be to the downside, because we have now run buy side liquidity here. We've run buy side liquidity here. And so now we would be looking to see if we get displacement lower. Does the dollar want to be strong here? SPX. Yep, pulling off those highs, runs buy side. US 30 aggressively running buy side and then falling away. Yeah, definitely showing some weakness here on the markets, which would be bearish for gold, bullish for dollar, and bearish on these foreign pairs. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, we're going to need another 15-minute candle close at the bare minimum on any of these pairs to see what kind of fair value gaps get created and opportunities we might have to find a trade. Did Aussie CAD, did it come up? No, it didn't. Tried to. It got up to the bottom of that breaker right there. There's the bottom of that breaker. It didn't quite touch that breaker. There's US oil. Nothing happening here. Still just in consolidation there. About another minute before this 15-minute candle to close. Looks like it's going to close bearish, but it definitely is showing some rejection there off of that sell side. Pound showing some heavy rejection, and euro pulling back off of that buy side run. Anytime you're going to take out buy side, you're collecting all of these sell orders above here. So sell stops, sell limits, all of these sell orders when you're running up into there. So you would expect it to kind of hit them and then pull back. It could still run up higher here. As it picks up all these orders, it's going to keep, as you run into these buyers are matched with sellers, and there's a lot of sell orders up here. So you would anticipate some resistance. The question is, can it continue and break that? Or is it going to reverse here? And we're still TBD. We did not get a closure. We did not get a body candle closure displaced below this low. So that's why we need this next candle information here on US 30. Same for S&P. We didn't get, it's taken out buy side, didn't take out sell side yet. So gold rebalanced completely. It did end up wicking up above here. did some damage, and then fell away. So we're going to need to see what this 15-minute candle does, bare minimum. And if we're gonna have a play to the downside, it's gonna take a couple of 15-minute candles to form here to give us that displacement lower if it wants to do that. First week of the month, I think I put this out on my trading. I tweeted my statistics out last week sometime, I think. And the first week of the month is my least profitable week every month. So I'm always glad to see that first week of the month get over and finish. The third week of the month is typically my most profitable week. So if you could just trade, if you knew what your most profitable week was and you only traded that week and you took the other 3 weeks off, not a bad trade-off. If you could make 2 to 4% during that week every month, that's all you would need to live handsomely on. And the other 3 weeks, you just live however you want. Pursue another job, start another business, get ripped, whatever. All right, well, let's see. We've had a change of structure. Price is currently not showing a desire to aggressively push back down. We would need to see this 15-minute candle want to retrace pretty aggressively if we're going to go bearish here. If it remains bullish, then you potentially have a breaker in here with a fair value gap, depending on what this candle does. So we just need to see how this 15-minute candle plays out. Again, we are hunters. Hunters are just quiet. We are patient. We wait. We sit. We stalk. We're just waiting for that trophy buck trade setup to show itself. Aussie CAD completely fallen away there. On a 30-minute time frame, you could have used this breaker right here. No, you couldn't. This is the breaker. It just didn't pull back far enough there. We're going to close that out. SP didn't run the lows. US 30 did run the lows. We didn't get displacement though below on the body close. What we don't want to see happen is chop. I don't want to just chop around. Dollar is showing more weakness here. It did close bearish. We did get a displacement away. This would be your breaker. This moved down, initiated this run up, took out an old swing high. We displaced lower. We've left a fair value gap here inside this breaker. So you've had displacement away. You had that 15-minute candle, or the 10-minute candle. The 15 hasn't closed yet, but this is on a 10-minute. Um, quite a large stop for euro dollar. Dollar showing no desire to retrace here and flip bullish. Jack says off now. Have a good weekend. See you Monday. See you, buddy. Have a great weekend. You bet. Glad to do it for you guys. And thanks for being here and watching, Jack. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend. So after all the news, you can see we just went up and down, and we're basically back to where we started before the news hit. On the S&P, and back to where we started before the news hit on US 30. So the markets, they're just like, we don't know what to do with this. The New York Stock Exchange will open here in about 30 minutes, and will probably provide a little bit more clarity on what the market wants to do. But the dollar definitely is showing more bearish pull to the downside than anything. This daily fair value gap, remember, is what we we would need to see this violated. It's currently holding the dollar up. Pound could not, on the next 15-minute candle, couldn't take out the high or low. This euro dollar could not take out the high or low. I don't have high confidence in any position, and that means I'm probably just going to stay on the sidelines here for right now. We will stay on. I'll stay on through the market open for the New York Stock Exchange to see. That'll give us another couple 15-minute candles, and we'll see if we have any other kind of opportunities present themselves. But right now, I'm just the news did not move. It popped, and then it's just stopped everywhere. We have had no continuation and no reversal. So we've had no reversal yet. You could still get one, but a couple more minutes and this hourly candle will close. I always do kind of like to see how the hourly candles close. Always good to see that higher time frame perspective. Because you can sometimes identify larger breaker blocks inside there. For instance, this run on liquidity, displacement away. Same here, run on liquidity, displacement away. There's no fair value gap inside there, but that does line up with what our current assessment is. But I'm going to wait. I need more information here. I don't feel confident about. There's no A plus clear setup screaming at me right now, like we've seen on some of those other trades that we've looked at recently. Maverick says, "Hey brother, hope you're well. Just joined. Is it a good idea after a loss to go over and journal? I try my best to not revenge trade. It's a real battle I have to fight." It's always good to, after you take a loss, to go back over it. You want to evaluate why you took that trade. You want to evaluate, walk through step by step. Does it follow every rule that you have in place to identify what an A plus setup looks like? Can you identify something that you just analyzed wrong? Was it a technical analysis error? Did you see something that wasn't there? Did you force an idea onto the trade that didn't exist, that didn't fit your A plus setup? So you always want to know, was this a technical analysis error or was this a trade execution error? Meaning I didn't follow my system. It did not meet all the criteria, but I took it anyway. So I I don't necessarily journal every single trade. Like I don't take a screenshot and journal every single trade anymore. But if I take a loss, I will immediately go back and look at, okay, like we did when we took a loss. Was it earlier this week we took a loss, or was it last week? I can't remember. We sat and we looked at it and we said, why, what could I have done differently to avoid this? Sometimes you just lose. Sometimes it's an A plus setup and they just hit your stop loss. And it's okay to admit, hey, the technical analysis was on point. Hey, I executed my trading system exactly the way I wanted today. Hey, I took a loss. That's going to happen, and that's okay. There is no reason to jump back in and revenge trade. That's immature. That's childish. Don't do it. You're letting your little inner child emotions manipulate you into making another bad decision. Don't do it. Accept the loss. It's part of the business. You're going to lose. You've got to get okay with losing and being okay with knowing I took a loss today and it's perfectly fine. If you followed your risk management rules and you didn't over leverage, then one loss is just a loss. You don't care about that loss. You only care about the next 100 trades. That's the only thing that you should be concerned about, is taking A plus setups over the next 100 trades. The stats and the probabilities, if you have a true edge with your system, your stats and probabilities will play out over the next 100 trades. All right, we've opened up here on the next hourly candle. And seeing some bearish price action here on pound. It's pushing back down into the breaker that was currently there. It'd be interesting to see if we get displacement through this. This is just, I'm not going to take this trade. I'm not calling this trade on either of these positions, as I don't have a strong, clear bias either way here. Still, the S&P is dropping pretty hard. US 30 dropping pretty hard. Dollar pushing back up, about to do a wick test here after displacing. This would be a key area here. Mav says, I wanted to ask about back testing. Which software would you recommend? Thanks. TradingView is fine, but FX Replay is good. Soft 4X is good. I've used Soft 4X before. I haven't used FX Replay, but I've seen a lot of people using it, and it looks pretty solid. I don't know much about it. Chris, love these type of streams. Definitely would be tuning in more. Well, thanks, Chris. Glad you're here, man. Thank you so much for watching. I'm grateful that you're here, and I'm glad that you're finding them useful. If you haven't yet, guys, hit that like button. I haven't said that yet much today, but please do. I would appreciate it. Maverick, mentally, I feel I'm still struggling to accept losses, and being in drawdown gives me anxiety. It's The Best Loser Wins. Good to help. It is absolutely a great book to help with that. What you're dealing with is exactly what that book talks about: fear, anxiety, pain. It helps you understand that what you're feeling is completely normal, but it's completely wrong, and it's going to screw up your trading career until you can get a handle and deal with the emotion of pain and anxiety. All right, dollar's pushing up, but not back through yet. Pound is aggressively coming down quicker. This is what I was anticipating that I would want to see, is displacement back through here after it's grabbed this buy side. So we'll just watch and wait, because this would be your the same, just one candle later would be your breaker candle here. We'll watch and see what kind of displacement, if we do in fact get some through that. Euro dollar, it would be back over here. If it's going to displace, we would want to see it displace through here. But it could just respect this breaker that we had. It could respect this breaker right here. And we'll watch and see how it responds on that fair value gap. I hear my puppies upstairs. They're stirring. That means they're going to be coming down here in a minute, and I got to let them out to do their business. So, Bianca, would be great if you could somehow show your MetaTrader orders on the screen if you're in a trade. Well, I have two separate. So I have a streaming laptop and I have a MetaTrader laptop. The best I can do is hold up my phone and show you when we get into that. That's probably the best I can do. All right, my pups are here. Let me let them out to use the restroom here, guys. Give me just a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right. Pound's showing some willingness to displace higher. The dollar, though, we need to see a stronger push here. It's filling in and getting a wick test here off of this order block now. So we'll need to see it disrespect that order block on the dollar. Euro reaching into the breaker block here and the fair value gap. This volume imbalance from that gap from the news, it's leaving currently unfilled. US 30 is still pushing lower, and SP taking out the lows and pulling back. Oil, quite the drop. Hmm. I don't see anything super clean there. S&P pulling back up now after its opening, hourly open. Dollar pulling away and finding weakness again after filling in that move down, filling in that wick. Pound pulling back and euro pulling back. I'm going to stay on just past the 9:30 New York Stock Exchange open here, guys. We'll see as that market enters if we get any further movement, and if we don't, I'll probably end up just calling it a stream for the day and close it out for the week. But we'll stay on for another 20 minutes or so today, and we'll just watch and wait. We're just trying to be patient and identify our good looking setups here. Maverick, I need to stay away from social media. I see people posting huge wins, and that makes me feel like I've missed out, FOMO. Yeah, it's it's such a double-edged sword. Social media. There's a lot on there that's useful and helpful, but then yeah, there's a lot on there that you see other people finding success, and it just reminds you of the success that you don't find, and it can piss you off, and it can really wreck your mindset. So if it's a poison to you, then you know it may not mean that you need to get completely off of social media. It may just mean you need to drop some accounts, and just only follow the two or three or five accounts that you really need to follow, that aren't going to screw with your emotions so much. Social media is such a dangerous place to spend time, because Maverick, just like you're saying, man, it just has the potential to wreck you emotionally. You want to be part of the people posting their payouts and posting their certificates and craving for and looking for the validation that you want so badly. That validation is not going to come from social media. It's going to come from yourself and from your wife and your kids, your family, when you're able to provide them the the things that you desperately want to give to them. That's where the validation is going to come from. It's not going to come from being able to get likes on a social media post that can, by the way, can be easily faked. Those payouts and those certificates, they can be faked. So all is not as it seems on social media, and don't believe the lie that everyone is constantly being funded and constantly getting payouts. It's not true. But if it's messing with you and you recognize it, shut it off. Shut it off. Get away from the charts, close the charts, go take a walk, go work on another hobby, go read a book, listen to a podcast. Get away from the charts. You took a loss. So what? We all take losses. I've taken 2 losses. I haven't had a winner in 2 weeks. So what? I'm going to get a winner. I know it because I know what my system does and I know how it works. So I'm not worried that I just took a loss, and you shouldn't be either. You took a loss. It does not matter. That loss means nothing. It means absolutely nothing, brother. You've got to let it go. Look at it and decide, was this technical analysis? Did I have wrong? Was my technical analysis wrong? That's a yes or no question. Or did I break a rule just so I could take this trade? You need to figure out. And if you didn't do either one of those, sometimes you just lose. Sometimes your A plus setups just lose. It happens. The last two trades I've taken, there's very little that I would have done differently from a technical analysis standpoint. The last two trades I've taken, they just lost. But I know that is going to happen because this is the system. It has right at or just above a 50% win rate. So I don't care. I don't care that I've taken two losses in a row. The next trade I take, probabilistically, statistically, with a 50% win rate, is probably going to be a winner. And my drawdown is going to be completely wiped out on the next winner. So there's nothing to worry about, brother. There's nothing to worry about. Bay King, welcome back in. Tuned in from South Africa. I'm off the charts today. Not a bad day to be off the charts. If I was not live streaming a lot of these red folder days, I just wouldn't be trading as well. But I know people who are trying to pass challenges, they think that they should be on the charts every day. And I'm here to stream every day to give encouragement and remind you all, you're not going to find your A plus setup every single day. It's not going to happen. The dollar is kind of holding steady where it's at, but the pound is continuing to show some weakness here. Euro, we're not. If we get a pullback and we don't make a higher high, then I would expect the euro to fall off here if we don't make a higher high. Same with pound. If we just get displacement through here, then we might have a setup on the downside here, but we'll just have to wait and see. Nothing's going to change. I don't think there was any news that came out today that would change the Fed's outlook on needing to continue to raise rates. And if they're going to continue to raise rates, then you're going to continue to see a stronger dollar and you're going to see a weaker market. So I'll be interested to see as the 930 candle opens here in about 10 minutes, what the markets do and how the do the indices want to continue to drop here. They had a big drop yesterday. We've had a pullback. We fell to really drive any higher. Do we just get more of a sell-off here on Friday as we close out the first week of July, excuse me. Maverick, you got this, buddy. If you're still watching, just hang in there, man. Don't let the one loss wreck you. It's just a loss. There's nothing to get upset about. The only thing that you should get upset about is if you broke your rules to take that trade. Then you should definitely close the charts, walk away, and do some more personal work on why you can't stick to your rules. Now, if you lost a trade, but your technical analysis was right and you executed it according to your rules and you just lost, it's just a loss. It's going to happen. There is nothing you can do about taking a loss. Every time I have started this first phase, this second challenge, and this challenge, every single step of the way, we have started in drawdown. Every single time. Every single time. And yet, I'm still passed, still got funded, still got a refund, still got a payout, still was able to buy and upgrade. So it's just part of this business. You're going to take losses. You're going to lose trades. And you cannot let your emotions dictate your next response. You can't. That is childish behavior. That is foolishness. Do not give in. Do not give in and let your emotions dictate what you're going to do next. The Stone, on average, how many setups do you get per month? It just depends. In May, we had, in May we had like 15, I think, 15 to 18 setups. In June, we only had like 8 or 9. So far in July, we've had 2. Or actually 1. I think the first loss we took was at the end of June. I think it was. And then we've had 1 trade this week for a loss as well. So, I mean, there are weeks, most weeks, you're going to get at least 1, usually 2, sometimes 3 setups. That's pretty average, 1 to 3 setups a week. And it really depends on the news, how many red folder days there are, all that kind of stuff. There are weeks that we've gotten no setups. That's extremely rare. And then there are weeks, we had one at the end of May where we had a setup all 5 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's also very rare. So this specific setup will form across the pairs, these 4 pairs that we're watching, at least a few times a week. And so you just have to be patient. So 12 to 15 times a month on average. But again, if you're watching, the statistics from prop firms tell you that the traders who are consistently getting payouts and getting the majority of the money that firms are paying out are traders who are taking between 10 and 15 trades per month, sometimes even fewer. Those are the traders that are consistently getting payouts. They are taking very few trades. They are not taking a lot of trades. They are coming into the markets. They're waiting for their setup. They execute, and that's all they do. They're not taking 2 to 3 trades a day. There are very few traders that are consistently being paid out from these prop firms. Very few. I think the percentages it's like low single digits, like somewhere between 3 and 5% of the people getting paid out are taking multiple trades per day. The vast majority of traders that are earning money from prop firms are only taking 10 to 15 trades a month. That means they're only taking 1 to 2 trades a week, which is what we're doing here, which is why we're funded, why we're getting payouts. We're just reverse engineering what profitable traders do. And if you're not a profitable trader, you're in the group of people that are still failing. It means you're doing the things that failing traders do, and you're not doing something different. So to do something different, you have to do what profitable traders do. And the very first thing should be stop taking so many trades. Maverick says, thank you. I know I shouldn't compare my chapter 1 to someone's chapter 100, but when I see posts, same person passing challenges like nothing every other day, I get upset as I can't pass or get a payout. Well, I thought you did pass. Now you're on a funded account. So what are you talking about? You did pass. You got your funded account back. So now just trade the account, trade your A+ setups, and be done with it. Like, yeah, you can't compare yourself to others. You're not, this isn't a competition. We're not competing against each other. We're not in business against each other. We're all just doing our own thing. And just focus on you. Stop worrying about other people. The Stone, just wait for FOMC, enter before news. That's the way, man. Put it all in before the news hits. You're going to get lucky one time, and you'll get a massive payout. Yes, I know that was a joke. I get sarcasm. I'm not sure everybody in the world gets sarcasm. I don't know all the cultural contexts of every viewer. And sometimes language barriers don't always translate jokes very well, but I do get that. True, it's 3% drawdown, which is why I was talking about losses and drawdown. My confidence is down. Well, your confidence should be in your system, not in yourself. Your confidence should be in your system. So if your system has an edge, just execute your system. Drawdown's nothing. You're going to go into drawdown. Every time you go into drawdown and it breaks you just because you're in drawdown, you're never going to be a profitable trader. Just because you're going to go into drawdown probably frequently in this business. You're not just going to always be in profit. So you can't get wrecked every time you go into drawdown. Is it going to sting? Yeah. Every time you lose, it's a sting. It doesn't feel good to lose. No one likes losing, but profitable professional traders, when they take a loss, they feel the sting, but they just have become desensitized to it. They've gotten to a point where they go, ooh, I don't like that, but whatever, it's just a loss. And I know I have the data from my last 100 trades, and I know how I'm going to execute over my next 100 trades. This loss means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. These 2 losses in a row mean nothing. I'm in drawdown. So what? Who cares? I'm just going to keep executing my A+ setup. I'm going to let my system do its job. It has a job to do. It's here to protect me from blowing my accounts. It's here to pull me out of drawdown. It's here to create profits. It does all those things. It is your shield. It is your sword, right? Like, it's going to protect you, and it's also going to work for you offensively. So just let your system do its job. All right, 9:30 market open here. We'll see what it wants to do. The US 30 is showing some weakness. Dollar is pulled back off of its hourly high. Pound pulling back up off of its breaker and fair value gap. Euro just holding steady. Again, if we don't make a new high here, then you could anticipate some dollar strength. If the dollar doesn't make a new low, then you can anticipate a little reversal here going into the rest of the trading session. This is what is messing me up psychology-wise, is I don't think the system I have is good. I think I'm just got lucky passing. Well, then there's issue number 1, Mav. The most I ever lost in a row is 6, but this firm has max loss 6%, which means I'm down to the last 3. So if your max losing streak is 6 and your drawdown is 6%, then you should not be risking 1% per trade, because if you hit your max losing streak of 6, then you would violate your account. What you would do is lower your risk so that if you hit your max losing streak, you don't violate your account. So that would be like 0.75% or 0.5%. If you did 0.75% and you lost 6 in a row, you would still not be in violation of breaching the account. But I would just stay steady. If you think that you're passing just because you're getting lucky, then you need to stop trading. You need to stop trading. If you truly believe the reason you are passing a challenge is because you got lucky, then you need to stop trading. And you need to go back to the drawing board of figuring out where I need a system that gives me an edge. I need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this system has an edge if it is executed at a high level. If I just follow the rules and I execute it, it has an edge. And until you have confidence in that system, you need to stop trading, bro. But if it's just your system has an edge and your emotions and psychology are what is keeping you from executing your system consistently, then it may be also good to pause and work on your psychology and mindset. Don't keep taking challenges until you can be in control of yourself. Dollar is dropping. US 30 reversing, S&P reversing here with the open. Dollar definitely showing some weakness here. Pound and euro both climbing up a little bit. It'd be interesting to see if we make a new high here or not, or if we're going to get some displacement lower. I'm going to stay on for about another 10 minutes or so, guys, and then I'll probably end up calling it a day. Yes, I think this is best action to take. Need to be honest with myself. Need to go back to the drawing board and work on the foundations again. I'm going to pause, work on that, on what you mentioned. The inner work, the self-discipline, the emotions. You bet. You're welcome. I'm not, and I don't hear me giving you some critical advice, and don't take it personally. I'm not here to yell at you. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm here to be honest and tell you what I see, and tell you what I think you should do to get out of the hole you're in. And there's a proverb in the Bible that says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. And that just means that your true friends will say things to you that you need to hear, and they might hurt, they might cut, they might cause a wound. But those wounds are faithful to produce healing. Those wounds are faithful to help you and not let you see you continue to hurt yourself in the long run. So a true friend is going to say things in love that might be uncomfortable to hear, but they're doing it because they want to see you get to a better place. And so just hear anything I'm saying to any of you in here. I'm doing it because I want to see you succeed. And I've been in the same kind of frustrating situation that you've been in. And I want to see you guys become profitable. And so that means sometimes you're going to need to hear words that might sting you a little bit. But they're all said and done in a way and because we want to see what's best for you. Never heard that scripture. I'll tell you what it is. Proverbs 27:6. Says this: And I'm not just trying to get preachy here to you, but my faith is, like I've said before, it truly is the cornerstone of who I am. And I'm not trying to be preachy at anybody, but here you go, Proverbs 27. It says, better is open rebuke than hidden love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. One who is full loathes honey, but to one who is hungry, everything bitter is sweet. And so basically what this saying is open rebuke is way better than not giving out love. And faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. It just means that an enemy, just because they're telling you they love you, they're gonna tell you that not out of love. There you go. Proverbs 27:6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. That's the proverb that I was just talking about. It truly is. And I just say that just to tell you why I say what I say. If you hear me say it in a tone that is sounding harsh, I don't want it to be. But sometimes you're going to say things that people need to hear, and the truth can sometimes just sting a little bit. So Mav says, I'm here to learn and grow. You have the experience and wisdom of going through what myself and others going through, so I appreciate all advice you give. Never take it personally. Good. I don't want you to take it personally. I truly do want to be helpful. I want to encourage you. Sometimes encouraging means you got to get you got to face the truth and look yourself in the mirror and take responsibility that there's just a lot of personal issues that are keeping you from continuing to find success. John says, I get so tired of, but that hurts my feelings. Yeah, man. We live in a world where feelings are more important than fact a lot of the time. And our feelings are not meant to control us. They're meant to help us. They're meant to point us to. They're just tools that we should be using to get clarity. But they're just one tool. They're not the whole tool. They're not the ultimate. Like constantly living to make yourself never feel bad. It's always going to lead you down a path where you're probably going to feel bad. Life is not fair. Life is not going to constantly give you everything that you think you should have. There's going to be trials. There's going to be suffering. And we're never promised that we're always going to feel good. Our feelings should not be in control. We should not live based on just avoiding a certain feeling or whatever. You can't avoid feelings. And a lot of times our feelings are just wrong because of past traumatic situations. We have the wrong feelings a lot of the times because of trauma, PTSD, bad relationships, broken past, whatever it is. Your feelings are they're not the truth. Just been through a lot of struggles and defeats, hoping to reach success one day, but I know it's me versus me. It is you, man. It is you. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't give up. Just hang in there, man. You got this. You can do this. Pound is pushing up here. Looks like it wants to try to run higher. And dollar is showing some weakness, but still hasn't taken out the last hour's high or low. did create a little swing there, and it's pushing lower, so it may still want to run lower. But currently, we're not seeing any displacement after running the liquidity up here. We're not seeing displacement from the pound. We're not seeing displacement from the euro dollar that it wants to run lower. And that's what I was most interested in today, I think, is seeing a lot of times when these red folder news events hit, that first push up is the Judas swing. And so that's kind of where my eye always goes to is the Judas swing up, and then is the real move down. And so far, we haven't had any follow through on that Judas swing up. We haven't had any displacement lower. The markets are not wanting to push higher here. So you could see if the markets continue to drop, you would expect the dollar to rally here a little bit if the markets do drop. John says the enemy has produced so much misinformation, which in turn has tricked people into relying on their feelings, unbeknownst that those same feelings are a product of the enemy's echo chamber. There's a lot of truth in there, buddy. Ultimately, it's just, ultimately it really does come down to being a mature person. And maturity means, the definition of maturity really has to do with not letting an immature person is making decisions that are emotionally driven decisions. That's really the definition of maturity. You're acting in a way that is immature. And by nature, that means you're giving into and reacting instead of responding. You're reacting emotionally to a decision in a childish way. So a mature person is an adult, an immature person is childish. So when we talk about being mature and reaching maturity, it's not just a physical aspect. It's not just you're physically mature. We're talking about the mental side of maturity, the psychological side of maturity. Some people are stuck with the maturity that they had when they were 12 years old. Emotionally. They never matured emotionally past a preteen or a teenager. So as a mature adult, you're going to be in control of your emotions. You're not going to lose your temper. Not that you won't always. I mean, you probably will. You're human. You're going to make mistakes, but in general, you're going to be a patient person. You're not going to lose your temper. When you feel anger rising up, you're not just going to lash out. When you feel fear, you're not just going to make a rash decision that doesn't line up with the logical nature of whatever situation you're in. Like, you've got to be able to control your emotions. You've got to be mature and not childish. All right, y'all. I think I'm going to call the stream here today, right here. I'm not seeing any good setups taking place on any of the pairs that we're watching here. The news. I was anticipating a run on liquidity with the news and then a displacement away from there to get a setup, and we didn't get our displacement away, so there's no trade for me today. We'll finish out the week here, still down 4%. We'll come back next week and try to keep hunting our trophy buck setups and seeing if we can find a setup and get us back out of drawdown and get us to another payout. But I do appreciate all of you guys coming in here to the stream every day this week and watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Get off the charts, listen to a podcast, work on a hobby, go work out, get some sun, get some fresh air, but don't just sit and stare at the charts. But I hope you stay safe. I hope you do have a great weekend. Happy hunting. We'll see you back on Monday morning.